to you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Takedown Podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, joined as always by my boy RC Roy Costin. Roy, we have a lot to talk about with the week in professional wrestling, as well as some early predictions for NXT Heatwave next week. I got to tell you, first and foremost, the one thing I really want to get into, because we had a lot from the SmackDown side, the Raw side, and the NXT side. But the first one I really wanted to start with, because a lot of people have been bragging that is probably one of her greatest promos to date. We got to talk about Chelsea Green. So Nick Aldis comes out. He's talking about the fact that she has a broken orbital bone and that, you're going to have to relinquish the championship after she just won it, being the interim champion. And then Chelsea Green's like, you of all people made your return to the ring in front of your son, in front of your wife, and you got to have that moment. Then I got to have my moment winning that women's championship. And why is it that everything that happens to me that's good, they have to take it away from me? And then she gives him the title, and then Nick Aldis is like, as a man, I can't have you relinquish that title. As a GM, I'm going to do what's right, but as a man, I'm going to have you keep the title for 30 days, get yourself a face mask, the whole nine. I really love the passion behind her promo because it was so real and authentic. And I like the fact that they separated Nick Aldis, the GM, from Nick Aldis, the man, and it made for something cool. So what were your thoughts on Chelsea Green's promo and the fact that she's still keeping that women's championship?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said you like how real it felt. It did feel very real because it is something that I think Chelsea has been fighting online for years now. It seems like every time that, she wins a title or every time that she gets some momentum, something happens. I think she had a broken nose at one point. She had broken her ankle. There's been 2 or 3 of her tag partners have been let go by the company.
Yeah.
Like, something has always happened when she gets some momentum going. And, yeah, it felt very real. But then we had, I will say, probably the funniest juxtaposition, because you have all this talking about, you've got 30 days, get a face mask, get cleared, you can defend your title. And you're expecting someone to come out there and be like, I'm going to be the first person to challenge you for your title. And all of a sudden, Gunther's music hits. And I had the split second thought of, Gunther's going for the women's title? Hey, okay, let's do this then, I guess. Chelsea's put on bangers with guys in the past, like her and Penta, yeah. Her and Penta had a barn burner down in Lucha Underground, so why not? But I did like how they turned that into him coming out there and trashing Aldis, trashing Chelsea, which leads to Cardona coming out.
The first time that they've acknowledged that they're husband and wife on TV.
Yeah, I think he even said something about that of, we've been married for however many years, but now it's quote-unquote canon in WWE. And that led to a really fun match, which, by the way, they did the one thing that I absolutely love with this match.
Okay.
And that's both guys were not dressed in their ring attire or anything like that. They had an impromptu match right then, right there. So both guys wrestled in jeans and tennis shoes or whatever. I love when wrestling does that. Like, there's nothing, in my opinion, that's better than we get the impromptu match and neither person is dressed for a match. Whereas you have so many times where somebody will come out dressed in their ring gear and you're like, why are they even dressed in their gear? And then it's like, oh, we're going to have a match right now. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. So I really like this idea. And I got to watch SmackDown with my brother and my father, who are both kind of casual fans on different sides of the fence. And it was really interesting throughout the entirety of SmackDown because I got to hear some of their thoughts on some of the stars and everything, and neither one of them were really big Gunther guys, which was kind of surprising.
I think it's one of those things too. He's always kind of been an acquired taste because it's like, okay, he does the chop and all this stuff and everything, but I'm like, a lot of people don't realize it kind of reminds you of the Dave Meltzers of the world, where he was like complaining all he does is a chop. Well, I'm like, I could always say, the Bruv man, all he does is just the springboard stuff, but we'll get to that later. But it's one of those things where I look at it from a stance like this. Gunther and Matt Cardona, like you mentioned, the realness, the authenticity of just going out there in your street clothes and putting on a really good match. I really like the fact that Cardona got the low blow and the Rough Rider in, and you thought he was going to win before Gunther choked him out. And I mean, with Chelsea, to even add on to your point, like she was tag champ with Sonya Deville, then Sonya gets hurt, insert Piper Niven, and now poor Piper Niven is going through her health stuff. So, I mean, they added every layers to this story that elevates Chelsea, that brings her up here. It shows Gunther for being the menace that he is. That really goes on to whatever they're going to do with him next. And also Cardona got a little shine in. So I think everything that they put into this opening segment turned into said match really did go far with what they wanted to open and really predict and go on and what they wanted to do with SmackDown.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very seamless, and I think that took up like the first 20 to almost 30 minutes or so of just coming out. You've got all this goes into Chelsea Green, which goes into Gunther, which goes into Cardona, which goes into a match. And then after the match, even we had Nia Jackson, Lash Legend. So we had this continuous flow of SmackDown, and I saw where a lot of people were like, wow, the feeling of SmackDown feels kind of restored after this.
I think so too, because they're trying to do their best to really make it feel more lively, and you can see the direction, like you mentioned, is going this way as opposed to just staying stagnant in the middle. Nia Jackson, Lash Legend, I understand they're one of the top heels, and Chelsea and Nia, when that happens, I've always said this: Nia has been better this time around than she was her first go around. And I think you add a lot to who's going to challenge Chelsea, so you added more to that. I think the funniest thing for me from SmackDown that I really enjoyed was the MFTs really winning the tag team championship. And I laughed just because Haku is such a menace and it really adds to the presentation. But then you get Nakamura. We find out that his partner is a ticking time bomb. So that only leads you to believe that they're setting up what is pretty much what I like to describe as like a New Japan match for the tag team championships. The MFTs against Shinsuke Nakamura and it's probably going to be Hiromu Takahashi. So, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that whole deal?
I dig it. I I understand some people's hesitation just because it's like, okay, they signed a Japanese wrestler who's going to wrestle with a Japanese wrestler and all that, but there is history with those two. There's plenty of history with uh, Tamatanga and Nakamura and everything like that. I would love if they would start integrating some more of these New Japan guys, you know, have bring Balor into this feud if you have to. Um Heck, even Cody. Cody was New Japan for a while. Bring in some of these guys who have experience in New Japan into this and bring kind of that strong style to it. But back to your point about Haku being a menace, like you better be careful and hope he doesn't hear you say that.
I know.
Um,
I don't want to get
but
my nose bitten off.
yeah, I am glad though that they did not do this in the way that they were doing before, because if you remember before when it was just Priest and Truth against the War Raiders, it was going to be winner take all with the AAA titles and the SmackDown titles. So I'm glad they didn't do that because that means we still have two separate champions. Um, I hope that we still get to see War Raiders on SmackDown, but I think this opens up a little bit more, and it'll open up into, our overall talking point of, it shows that the Bloodline is starting to get back on track with being the main attraction in WWE, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I also like the fact that the War Raiders, because you need a great tag division for champions with that tag team championship in AAA. I mean, one of my earliest opponents that I'd love to see them wrestle in AAA is, as I like to call them, the brothers Dr. Wagner Jr., Galino and El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. I think those two have a great chemistry there, and I think that would be a hell of a tag team. Or even Perros del Mal, whether it's Angel and Berto or some sort of working there. I think that would be cool. But I also look at it from a stance like this: like you have the MFTs and a newer look, a newer style. They're not just Solo's henchmen anymore, and they get to be themselves, and they have their father by their side. But that wasn't the only title change that we had on SmackDown. We did see Tiffany Stratton and JC Jane. Tiffany helping out Chelsea Coster, rolling encore 1, 2, 3. JC Jane is the new Women's United States Champion. Fatal Influence has all the gold. Your thoughts on JC Jane winning the U.S. title?
I think it was a great idea. I know we've been talking about having JC Jane slide into the main event picture, and they might have possibly felt that it was too soon to do something like that. Uh, we get all of Fatal Influence with titles, which is a really cool visual. JC Jane is she is an asset in the ring. She's been in NXT. She was in NXT for so long, and she's had the staying power. She, to an extent, she reminds me a lot of Chelsea Green.
I can see that.
She has been given all kinds of different things to try to work with, and she has made it work. And I think she's going to do the same with this U.S. title. She's going to make it work, and it'll be interesting to see as we build to War Games, because we've already been found out that this year's Survivor Series will be a War Games again. Um, to see if they're going to include Fatal Influence as part of the War Games match, where it's them three, and then maybe pick up a couple more people against whatever other five. I would not be opposed to Fatal Influence and Naya and Lash Legend on one team. I think that would be a fun pickup for that side of the War Games match.
Oh, not at all. And then you could go up against Tiffany, Chelsea, and whoever else on their team that can make up a hell of a War Games. I think you have a lot of possibilities with them. I've been a JC Jane fan since, Toxic Attraction. I always thought she had a lot of talent, and she's really grown herself and her brand and her entity. And I mean, I look at someone like a JC Jane and really get to see the hunger of these young talents. And I mean, speaking of hunger, I think a lot of us kind of wanted to get the more hunger, if you will, of what we got with the main event segment of Sami Zayn coming out. And if he beats Cody Rhodes, then he gets the winner of CM Punk and Kevin Owens, which we'll get to in a second. But Randy Orton comes out and attacks Cody from behind. It's very reminiscent on the road to WrestleMania with what Randy did with Cody with the steps. Cody almost did it to Randy, but he got stopped. The Sean Davari got the chair out of his hand. Did you like the main event brawl and everything that happened with that? And also it has Sammy to complain like, hey, man, I was supposed to have this match, and now here comes Randy Orton. So it adds another layer. You could have Sammy being mad at Randy Orton. So your thoughts on this main event segment?
Yeah, I think the best part is it does add to the whole Sammy situation of, he didn't want to be in the match anyways because he's injured. And that played very well in our, from the opening segment where you had Chelsea Green basically being like, don't take this title away from me. I want to defend it. I don't care if I'm hurt. To then you have Sami Zayn saying, oh, I can't have a match tonight. Oh, look, my wrist messed up my wrist. Can't do anything. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I was going to say if you won, then you get a title shot. Oh, did I say my wrist hurts? Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, I can, I can fight through this. I got this. Um, So it does kind of, we're starting to see that kind of not slimy hill mentality, but we are starting to see more of this sniveling kind of mentality from Sammy. And I go back to casual fans, my dad and my brother. My dad even pointed out, he was like, "What are they even doing with Sammy? Like, why is he acting this way?" Because we remember watching El Generico in Ring of Honor, and my dad likes the way that Sammy wrestles. It's just, and even I'm having kind of a hard time of explaining to him, like, well, they're just kind of going with a different path for him and everything. I think they should have kept going with the underdog kind of gimmick for him, where it's like, look, yes, I am the last real good guy, but also I'm willing to take on anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. I had my taste of the title. I want to get it back. Whereas now it seems like he wants to try to find the easiest path back to getting in the title picture. So I think they're probably going to end up having some sort of maybe a triple threat match or something where the winner gets to go after the winner of Punk and Owens, where it's Sammy, Randy, and Cody.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I'm still pushing for whatever this feud does. I hope that it's leading to Cody finally getting a faction. I'm going to keep saying that every week until people start recognizing that I'm the one coming up with this stuff and not just randomly seeing it by some other bigger podcaster or whatever. Like, no, I've been saying it for probably a month now. I need to have Cody in a faction, and it needs to be the Horsemen, like you were saying, and we need to get the ball rolling on that. He doesn't need a title. He needs a faction.
Putting that into the universe. I mean, you say it every week. It's like your premonitions are coming true, but you're not like Miss Cleo and calling the psychic hotline. So it's one of those things too, where you definitely have a you definitely have a good eye for everything, and you have your finger on the pulse, Mr. Roy Costin. But speaking of finger on the pulse, one of the other things from SmackDown that everything really stood out, it really came together for them, was the fact that we had CM Punk and Kevin Owens. The stare down was great. While I'm watching this, it gave me a feel of CM Punk and MJF, CM Punk, Eddie Kingston from AEW. He talked about the friends, my friends don't like you. Which ones? Not those three that you're thinking of. So they kind of did mention the Bucks without saying the Bucks and Kenny Omega and everything in that generation, as well as Jack Perry and the whole nine. They also did address Ring of Honor without saying Ring of Honor and their heat from Ring of Honor. So I thought the two of them went back and forth very well in this very much work shoot angle that they're doing. And I did like the fact that he called him, his bitch ass, and I'm going to beat your fat ass. And the fact that I'm fat slob indie. Well, this fat slob indie is going to be going for your world championship. So they added a lot of layers to their 20 plus year history. Honestly, I can't wait to see them wrestle in Toronto. Do I see Kevin Owens winning the title in Toronto? No, I think there's going to be a schmaz, but dang it, that made me want to see what they're going to do next week. I did enjoy the face-to-face. What you think?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that there will be some sort of weird, wonky finish to that match. Maybe that's where Sami Zayn does play into that match. I would actually like to see it where Sammy helps Kevin win the match. You get the title, like a surprise title change. Kevin wins the title, and it's almost an inverse of what we saw in NXT, where Sammy helps Kevin win the title. They're celebrating, and then all of a sudden, Haluva kick, Blue Thunder bomb, and then you got Sammy holding up the title after he hit that on Kevin Owens. He's learned his lesson from all these years. Uh, it did feel, it almost felt too real. There are times where people who have gripes with one another, they will set aside because they know what they got to do for business. And with this, it almost felt like Punk was deliberately trying to trip up Kevin Owens while he was talking. Um, they did, I think one of the best lines in the whole thing, though, and it kind of got overlooked because of Punk trying to trip up Kevin Owens and speaking over him, was Kevin Owens said, "The one thing that I can say that I've done that you will never do is main event WrestleMania against Stone Cold Steve Austin."
And that was a great zinger.
It was so good because as fans, we know how much that meant to Kevin Owens, but we also know how much Punk pushed for that back in the day. Of, oh man, if there's one guy that I can face at Mania, it's, Stone Cold. If there's one guy from the past that I can get in the ring with, it's Stone Cold. And he never got that opportunity. And for Kevin Owens to look at him and be like, yeah, that's the one thing that I have done that you can absolutely never do. It's just that good little jab. And like I said, it was almost ruined because as he's saying it, Punk is like, "Oh, whoa, 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 what is it that you're gonna do? What is it that you did? Huh, 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 huh?" And it's like, come on, man. Like, I know y'all don't really like each other, but you've got to let it simmer for the fans' sake. You can't just cut people off and try to make it real by talking over each other. You have to let the fans digest what is being said and to actually be able to react to what is being said.
I mean, he did do the whole, like, what is he doing? Yeah, and then he's doing the slow clap, making fun of him and everything. But I also think, too, like, if you remember, like, CM Punk and Stone Cold with JR back in the day, they're in the WWE 13 reveal video. That was one of the fantasy warfares that we got to see in the video game, and he definitely wanted that to come to life, but unfortunately it never did. And Kevin Owens and Stone Cold, what that brought at WrestleMania was just such a great flavor. I think that was the great opponent for Stone Cold to have his final match with. So I agree with you that the talking points, Punk was really trying to get under his skin. But like you mentioned, let it simmer, let it marinate, let them do what they can do to evoke that emotion, which they did, but let it resonate with people. And then just for like a split second or like a blurb, so to speak. So I completely hear you on that front with what they were going to do there. The other thing that I will mention now as we go into the Monday Night Raw segment, a lot of people have been getting on that boy, Corey Graves. And I figured we start with this because this is a point of attention here. So Javon Evans has this impromptu match for JD McDonough. Gets the win. Very good match. And then Big Cass comes out and absolutely mollywops Javon Evans. And what I could best describe with Javon Evans getting that microphone, I felt like I was watching Jeff Hardy and The Undertaker in the ladder match from Raw for the Undisputed Championship. He had his Jeff Hardy moment where he gets the microphone and then he's like, hey, man, like, is that all you got? And then he comes back. And then he does the suicide dive onto Big Cass, and then they're fighting. Dominic gets involved. Then he drags him around like a little kid, does Big Cass to Javon Evans, and mollywops him. And I think a lot of people were saying because of the history, Corey Graves is quiet like the first two, and then it's just like, oh, now he's calling him a coward. And then this week he's like, Big Cass is going to get that coward. So the story that they're playing into this is that Big Cass said, it's nothing personal, Javon. It's just business. I'm going to be stacking bodies. But he's really only attacking Javon Evans, and it's become a thing, which means we're probably going to get Javon Evans and Big Cass at Sunday night's main event. So the question bears here for you, Mr. Roy. What were your thoughts on this? Are you looking forward to Big Cass versus Javon and the whole thing with Corey? Because, look, we know Big Cass used to be with Carmella. Corey Graves is married to Carmella. They have children. But I'm also thinking at the same time, it's like, man, this is 7-8 years ago. Like, you got to let some stuff go, so to speak. I know some stuff happened. We can speculate all we want, but we weren't there. So I got to ask you your thoughts on the Corey Graves situation there, Big Cass and Javon, and the angles that went into it.
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say about the Kaz and Corey Graves thing, I think regardless of what Corey does, he's going to get chastised by the IWC.
Yep.
If he's talking throughout the entire beatdown, they're going to be like, well, why is he trying to take focus off of Kaz? If he doesn't say a word during the entire beatdown, oh, so he's just scared to say anything because of Kaz. Let the past stay in the past. They are all adults. I'm sure there has been conversation that has been had between all the parties, and that's their business. I don't look at it. I'm not going to look too much into how Corey reacts to Big Kaz while he's on commentary, just because everything he has done so far is something you would do for anybody. He comes out and he's doing a beatdown on Javon the first week. Corey doesn't say anything because Michael is giving all the backstory. Oh my God, that's Big Kaz. Why is he here? What's he doing? Corey's letting it simmer. We were just talking about this with the Punk promo. Corey's letting it simmer so the fans can react to what is going on. The second week, same thing. And then this week when he attacks, it's like, oh yeah, he's a coward. Like he's attacking him from behind. He's going to get his, because this is the third week that he has attacked Javon.
Yep.
And I was all on board with it at first because, yeah, Kaz did in the backstage segment say, oh yeah, I'm here to stack bodies. You were the first one, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then that means move on then. If he was just the first one, why are you continuously attacking him? So I think now there is more of a reason for him to attack him, just because Javon did fight back and he did hit that really nice dive and everything. So there is a reason for him to say, oh, well, now my focus is on Javon. But I think that should have happened last week. Which he did. He did try to make the save. If I'm not mistaken, last week Javon did try to make the save after the Dragon Lee match.
Yeah,
right?
Dragon Lee and Dominic. Yep.
Yeah. So I will give credit for that, but the only thing is I don't want Kaz's first official match back to be against Javon, because Javon has been doing such a great job of being built up.
The ultimate babyface.
Yeah, so I'm thinking they may end up doing a 3-match thing where Kaz might win, or Kaz is definitely going to win the first one. And then hopefully that Javon can kind of get his win back later. But I'm hoping that this does not hurt Javon in the long run, because I think even Paul Heyman was on Chris Van Fleet, and he was talking about Javon, and he had mentioned that Javon, they need to do something big with Javon before the end of the summer, because if they don't, then they're going to let this momentum die down. And here we are towards the end of the summer, so we need to... It would be good for him to pull out a win, I think, against Kaz. I would book it where he gets a surprise win against Kaz at, like you said, Sunday night's main event. And then that just enrages Kaz even more. So...
I like that. All right. I think it's definitely a way to go. It's kind of like, think of like when Javon Evans was wrestling Jasper Troy in NXT and he got that surprise win over Jasper Troy. Think of it like that. By the way, I got to say this, man, because I've been listening to you talk, and I always like listening to you talk. That's why we do this show. We're talking about Big Cass, right? I think you added some Z's to that. And I mean, I know that they're from New York. Taz, Big Taz, is that like his cousin, brother? Is that what we're doing? I know it's a New York thing, but I think you add a little Z's to that. You know what I'm saying? Beat me if you can, survive if I let you. Is that what we're doing here now? I mean, are all New Yorkers pretty much the same? I'm a New Yorker right now. So is that what you're saying? Just add, instead of the S, putting the Z. Is this like the Hardy Boys thing? Instead of like the books by Nancy Drew, you add in the Z for coolness? What are we doing here, Roy? Come on.
I mean, we are coming right off of Wrestling Society X from last week with Alcatraz. So
this is very true. This is very
No, I think there's a couple words that I try to enunciate differently, which one of them is especially,
Hmm.
because I've always said especially. There's no X in there. Why am I saying that? So especially, and with Kaz, I feel like I have to say it with the Z's because if I try to say it with the S's, it just comes out as Cass.
Cass.
Cass. Yeah, big Cass.
Big Cass.
Because I don't know if you see, I got a big old gap in my teeth. I've always had that big front gap. I got the London look, and it's always been it's always been very hithy hith.
All right, well, let me tell you something, mate, over there. I not a problem with the London look, number one. And number two, I will say it like this with your Cass and your Z. I think when I look at it like this, look at Cass, look at WWE 12, the main character, Jacob Cass. If you remember playing those video games,
Oh
oh my
yeah,
God. Yeah.
yep,
But in all seriousness, yes, Alcatraz, whatever, S and the Z, whatever we do, Bay Hey B, words are going to be words. No more words. Jeff Hardy, 2008. I digress. We'll go into the next part of Raw. One of the things that I also did enjoy about this Monday Night Raw, man, I got to tell you, I felt like I was watching SummerSlam '02, and I was live for that event, that opening match. Chad Gable and Rey Mysterio. What a match that was for the Intercontinental Championship. The angle slams, the moonsaults. Ray was pulling out stuff, and he was getting the "you still got it" chance. That finishing sequence with the roll up, and then he did the bridge at the end and just hung on to the pin. I thought that was a great finish. That whole segment, that match was fantastic. If you've not seen Raw and you want to watch a great ass match, go back and watch Chad Gable and Rey Mysterio.
yeah. When they announced that was going to happen, I was like, oh yeah, that match is not going to disappoint. Um, and like you said, it was very, very reminiscent of Angle and Mysterio. Like, holy crap, dude. Uh, it just goes to show that Mysterio never lost it. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, you still got it." It's like, no, he's never lost it. I think he did say he is wanting to wind down in his career, but I mean, he's already got a backup plan. He's already, AAA manager. So, you know, um I'm wondering where this is going to lead with Gable and the Intercontinental title. Like, who do we think he's going to be facing after all of this? Because so far he's pick and chose, like, hey, I've done you dirty in the past. I owe it to you to give you this title opportunity. Whereas now that he's kind of righted all of his wrongs, like, where does it go from here?
That's my thing too. It's very tough to see because it's the workhorse title again. I think this elevates Chad by having him beat Ray. It's very tough with the pool. I mean, you have Ethan Page. I think Ethan Page would be a great heel to go against him. That's my number one go to is Ethan Page. Who do you think?
See, I like Ethan Page. I almost wouldn't mind some of the guys from like AAA coming in and being like, "Hey, you put us through hell for a year. Like we're here to kind of get our licks back at least going against the title." I mean, he doesn't have to lose the title to any of them right now, but just having some of the guys from AAA come in, like, having a Psycho Clown match would be really fun. Um, El Hijo de Wagner Jr. match would be really fun. Like, just bring in some of those guys to do it on Raw would be really an interesting idea. Heck, even we've got the Raw in Mexico coming up.
Oh, if you want to do something special, I'm glad you brought this up because I'm going to throw a name out there. You want to give a kid a moment. Do Chad Gable versus Mini Vikingo.
That would be a fun one. That would be a really fun one. And like you said, giving him a moment and everything, because I think they are kind of looking at Mini Vikingo being one of the people to kind of come up to, wrestle in the States pretty soon. So that would be a pretty cool shout.
I mean, he's one of the youngest members of the roster, 17 to 18 years of age, and the kid has got it. I think a little bit more experience and just, slow burn before we really get him there. But I think he's already such a hit in Mexico. If you put him in the ring with a Chad Gable, I mean, we saw what he could do with a Ray Phoenix. So I think him and a Chad Gable would definitely have a nice mesh. Speaking of a nice mesh, I also do have to put this together. Obafemi and Braun Breaker. Obafemi mocking Braun Breaker was the most hilarious thing I've seen, just intimidating his voice and imitating everything that he does with his mannerisms. I'm really excited for Sunday night's main event. He shakes his hand, that being Paul Heyman, and Braun's like, what the hell, man? So I'm interested to see the dynamic of where Paul Heyman's going to go with this, because is he with the Vision? Has he kind of distanced himself from the Vision? So we have a nice little tie-in there. What are your thoughts on Oba and Braun as well as their face-off?
Uh, I'm here for Oba and Braun. I'm looking forward to the match. I don't think we're gonna get a definitive winner.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might see Bronson Reed return, and I would almost even say I would rather Bronson Reed return and take out both of them.
I don't
Like he
hate that.
doesn't, yeah, he doesn't align with the Vision again. He doesn't align with Oba. He comes back and just kind of takes both of them out. Like, hey, don't forget about me. Like I'm, I may have been out for a while, but I'm still a killer. So don't forget that I'm here. Um, that's the way I'm hoping it goes. I do feel like it's a little early to do Braun and Oba now, especially considering you want both of them to be built up as big main event Mania guys. And I think the sooner you get Braun out of the Vision, the better, especially especially for that the trajectory that they want to put Braun on. Um, I would use the opportunity of maybe a draft and take Braun and put him on SmackDown. Put him in that picture with, Randy and with Cody and all of them. And you got a pretty good, champion. You put the title on him, you put the title on Oba. Like, you've got two really solid champions that can carry the company for the next 10 years. So I don't see why they would have them both on the same roster now when that is such a big matchup for later down the road.
Agreed wholeheartedly. I think they're doing it a little too soon, but I don't mind it just because there's a part of me as well. Because I'll be honest, I am tired of seeing Braun Breaker in the Vision. I think he's got to get away from Austin Theory and Logan Paul. I think we're just going to probably wait till Logan Paul's ready to, heal and get off the injury that he has right now. And then you could go back to Logan and Austin being that tag team. I'm just sick of Austin Theory and the Maxine Dupree thing already. We see him playing tonsil hockey each and every week now, but I'm just kind of like, this is the drizzling, what's. And I'm kind of tired of the Vision Vortex, so to speak. And we're going to get another Vortex here in a second. But I got to ask you, man, on the women's side of things, Stephanie, and Lyra, I'm sorry, Liv, Becky, and Liv, Becky, and Stephanie. What are your thoughts on this triple threat coming into fruition and everything like that we saw this week?
I'm here for it. That is panning out to be something very worthwhile. I I don't see them taking the title off of Liv anytime soon,
No.
as much as it sucks to say. Because if you're going to do it, take it off of her and put it on to Vicaire. I don't think they're going to do that, though, because apparently the plan was for her to beat Stephanie at SummerSlam anyways. I don't know why we are running this whole live with the title thing into the ground.
Hmm.
especially when you have so many other competitors, unless they are trying to do something where there is going to be a turn happening soon in Judgment Day, whether it be Raquel or Roxanne, and then they're the ones to take the title off of Liv. But I like the idea of a Liv, Becky, Stephanie triple threat match. I do like that. That's going to be good. Um, if they do a 3-on-3, I do wonder who they're going to get to kind of be the other can they coexist with Becky and Stephanie, though.
Io has a good ring to it. That's a good shot with Io Sky. If Asuka ever comes back, that would be interesting. They have a lot of things that they could do, even Sol Ruka, but that has a nice little twist to it because Sol and Becky, but I don't know, and I'll even mention Sol Ruka on this. Lyra Valkyria takes another loss. She's crazy, but that's how it goes. What are your thoughts on Lyra taking the L to Sol?
I think they're building it even more into she's going to keep losing her mind over time, and she may end up snapping at some point, even more than what she already has. And once she reaches that breaking point, she'll either A, need to find someone to help bring her back, or she starts using that against her opponents, and she finally finds her way into winning the IC title back.
So pretty much what you're telling me is as she gets even more insane and how she gets even more crazy, Roy Costa, what you're telling me is this is pretty much her last resort.
Yeah.
I feel you. Somebody put on some Papa Roach. Yes, please. I'm gonna start head banging. I'm gonna start, getting in the mosh pit. I'm gonna start thrashing. I gotta tell you, man. I even watching that 26 years later. I want to be one of those kids in the ring, just friggin' singing with Papa Roach and just thrashing to it. You know what I'm saying? And then everything that went into that song still bangs. It still hits 26 years later. I think you can agree with me on that front.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I want to say we might play it at the station. It's that old.
Oh my goodness gracious! But I gotta tell
Yeah.
you, well, no, thinking about it now, yeah. But Papa Roach, if y'all have not checked out, because it is WWE oriented, they've done a lot of songs for WWE. But
Oh
yeah,
God, yeah.
yeah, to be loved, getting away with murder, will be here all day. Tear my heart open. Let me tell you about some scars that we have. Some more scars that we have from Monday Night Raw. The scars and just the overall intensity of what we got with this. Penta and La Parca are going to be in the semifinals, as well as Dragon Lee versus Ray Phoenix. Dragon Lee versus El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. Very good match, very high octane, and they gave Dr. Wagner Jr. a lot of offense. El Fiscal and Ray Phoenix, another one, the son of Abismo Negro doing his thing, and everything that we saw there. I am happy with how it is. I think we also kind of predicted that, hey, it's got to be the two brothers in the final with Penta and Phoenix. First time ever in WWE. We've seen them do it in Lucha Underground. Your thoughts on this tournament? And I got to tell you, we had some two bangers this week.
Yeah, we had a couple bangers. We're gonna have a couple more bangers, and then it's gonna lead, like you said, to brother versus brother. I I mean, we're pretty much positive it's gonna be Penta winning the whole thing, but they have the they have the option to make that finals into a barn burner. Uh Penta and Phoenix, whenever they're in the ring together, it I hate to say it, but it's not like the Usos. All right. They're one of the brother teams that when they get in the ring together, they make magic even if it's against each other. Um I think that it'll be a good showing for Phoenix, even more so, just because he hasn't been getting the shine, in my opinion, that Penta has. Like he's been doing pretty good and he's been solid, but a lot of his focus has been in AAA because he's the cruiserweight champion right now.
Oh yeah.
So he's had a lot of focus in that rather than on SmackDown recently. So I think that that will help a lot of people kind of look at it and be like, okay, yeah, they are on par with each other. Um, and I'm hoping more people start to see the whole, I don't know what it is about him, but Phoenix giving off that Jeff Hardy vibe.
Yes.
Um, and like I said, I can't explain what it is, but it's just something about him reminds me of Jeff Hardy. Uh, and I'm looking forward to Penta versus Roman as much as it's going to be such a mishmash of styles. I think that Roman being able to slow Penta down a little bit and Penta making Roman work at a faster pace, it's going to be a very good litmus test of, okay, can Penta be one of our top guys?
I think what's so cool about it too is I'm glad that you put that part into it because Roman does work the slower style, but Penta could also oomph Roman up a little bit, and I think it's going to be a great contrast. Um, we're going to get into Roman now, but I think one of the things, like you mentioned, and first of all, don't apologize because Jimmy versus Jay from WrestleMania absolutely sucked. That match was god awful. I mean, Matt and Jeff from WrestleMania 25 was way better than Jimmy versus Jay or anything that they've done. My goodness gracious.
Burned his house down.
He did burn his house down, yes. And the dog. That was really bad though.
That was the part I think everybody's like, oh, ha ha ha, he burned his house down. And then it's like, and my dog was in the trailer too. And it's like, oh, whoa, okay, that's where we draw the line.
Yeah. Not burning the house down, but not the dog. Not the dog.
Yeah, not the dog.
Not the dog. Well, let me tell you something about the dog, the former big dog. Ooh. Roman Reigns comes out, and Jimmy and Jay are just overdoing the pew pew. The pew pew. Yeah. Come on out, Solo. Yeah.
So funny.
Pew pew. And then friggin' Jay is just like, who's the punk ass now, Jacob? And they all come out, and then it leads to Roman just berating Solo. Remember what you said? First of all, I have to correct Roman Reigns on this. He said 3 years ago on Netflix. Bro, that was last year. Like, what are you talking about? You just went back in time. Like, that didn't happen 3 years ago. That happened a year ago. 3 years ago, he was still the Bloodline. What are you talking about?
That's how long this bloodline story has been going on.
Yep.
It feels like 3 years ago, even though it was last year.
Yeah. You caught that too, right? I couldn't be the only one who caught that.
Yeah, unless there was something said 3 years ago
that I don't remember.
That I don't remember. Like, all of the stuff that he was talking about took place last year, I think.
Yeah, with the Ulafala? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Jimmy and Jay have their own Ulafalas now. They're their captains. And Jacob's looking at him like, what? And then Solo gets kicked by Jacob. And then the Tongan Death Grip, and Roman's like, stop! And then LA Knight comes out. And then there's a brawl. And then Jacob's going to go finish LA Knight. He's like, no! Stay over there until I tell you not to. And then Solo's like, he's like, make Solo, come on, we're your family. Think about what your father thinks about this. And he's just berating him. And then Solo's like, I'm sorry. Samoan spike to Roman, doesn't do it to LA Knight. There's this whole brawl. BFT to Roman, and Jacob's just standing there in the corner. I thought it was a great way to end Raw. Solo as a babyface is over like Rover. Pew pew. Your thoughts on the Solo definitive face turn? Him and LA Knight getting the drop on the Bloodline. Jacob not do anything, just standing in the corner. So what are your thoughts on this whole segment?
From top to bottom, it felt like what made the Bloodline special years ago.
Like with Sammy turning on them at the Rumble?
Exactly. So many people have been over the whole Bloodline story. When Roman finally lost the title and he got out of the whole thing with Cody, everybody's like, oh, okay, we finally are done with this whole Bloodline stuff. Um, this felt like it rejuvenated the Bloodline saga. You've got Solo being one of the most over baby faces in the company right now, and it's just natural. It's just a natural baby face presence. He's having fun, and you've got Jacob, who, he was upset at the fact that the Usos are getting their flowers, so to speak, from Roman. So yeah, when Roman gets attacked and everything, right before he does, like you said, Roman says, "Don't move out of that corner until I tell you." So when he gets mad at Jacob next week and says, "Why didn't you help? What were you doing?"
You told me to
You
stay
told me
there.
not to move. You told me to stay there. I'm listening to my tribal chief. That kind of thing. So we're so in dissension already again. Um, and I think, honestly, Solo and LA Knight make a really interesting tag team. Like they make a really interesting duo. Uh, because even when they were leaving, Solo was like, "Hey man, I owe you one," and Knight's like, "No, I owe you one." And they both do the yeah.
Yeah.
And they weren't trying to do it, but it was like Solo's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Knight's like, yeah. So it's interesting to see how well those two are working together. And that brings me back to what I was talking about with the women's division earlier. Do you think this will end up being part of our War Games matchup for the men? Because you figure at some point it's going to be a one-on-one Roman Reigns versus LA Knight.
Yep.
And you figure at some point they're going to have to figure out what to do with Jacob, whether he's still part of the bloodline, whether he splits from them, whatever the case is. And where do we see it come Survivor Series time, where it'll be like Bloodline versus Outsiders, and who is still a part of the Bloodline, who's going to be a part of the Outsiders group or whatever?
Oh, if you want to have fun, I could even think of something for War Games. It could be LA Knight, Solo Sokoa. I could definitely, if you want to do something fun, do Kevin Owens up in there, do Cody Rhodes, and then you could have them go against Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Sami Zayn. Kind of like redo the bloodline a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's not
It
a bad
works.
idea. Yeah.
It works. Like you have the pieces kind of falling together with how their trajectories have gone, and it can have that nostalgia feel, but also feel cool because it's like, oh, we're getting something different here, and it's unique how the roles are reversed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost it's almost like the one from 2 years ago? Or from
Yes,
last year.
and that too, yeah, with Punk in there too. You can have Punk in there too, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I don't
don't
mind
hate
that
it.
at all. No,
I don't
don't
hate
hate
it.
it.
I'll tell you something that we don't hate is we say it every week. NXT, one of the best doggone shows each and every week. So what we're going to do this week is, since they pretty much have Heatwave locked in, we're going to do predictions because next week we also have All in London. So we're going to split the predictions in half. But I have to mention just a couple things before we get into it from NXT. Number one, Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair with the boys from Tinder, as I call them, aka the Vanity Project, come out with Michael Lockwood, and they're cooking them. And Michael's like, y'all got cooked. You better lock in tonight, Jackson Drake. And I laughed because it was just so funny. He's like, I'm just trying to check in on you. And they just remind me of the douchebags, like I mentioned, the boys from Tinder, or the dudes that like have like a rich daddy and they just think that they're hot, you know what? And they
Mean
just,
Street Posse.
you're going the Mean Street Posse route. Okay.
They remind me so much of Mean Street Posse without Shane. Like that's every time I see them, I'm like, yeah, they've got like the pop collar feel, the polos with the pop collar and all that. Like every time that they're on TV, I'm like, Oh, so yeah, it's just Mean Street Posse. I love it.
You got Brad Baylor with the flops. It's like this man's coming out here with the flops.
And I love Micah, dude. Micah's awesome.
She powerbombed CM Punk over the weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like,
I saw
yeah.
that. She's great, man.
Can I just say Grayson Waller has got to be stopped? I saw that on the live event in NXT. He told Zilla Fatu to acknowledge these nuts, and I'm like, this man is out of control. Like, what are we doing here? Friggin' Grayson Waller is just going up to CM Punk. Wipe your feet before you come into my house, mate. And it turns into this whole thing. I'm like, what? He don't care. And I love it because he's so unhinged, and it's great.
Well, even last night he said something about Zilla, I'm glad you got your ankle monitor off so you can roam free.
Man. Oh my god,
crap, dude!
House Arrest City. I felt like I was watching Shia LaBeouf and Disturbed. Oh, there's a throwback for everybody.
Oh wow, yeah.
When he got house arrest, for those that don't know, who have never seen Disturbed with Shia LaBeouf.
No, it was Disturbia, wasn't it?
Oh, dum dum dee dum dum.
Yeah, that was the whole meme that came out. Was when that movie came out, everybody was playing the trailer with Disturbia behind it. And it's like, these don't. I think I picked the wrong movie.
Well, you know what's funny about it? As I said, Disturbance. I was thinking, for any of those who've not seen this movie, Domestic Disturbance from 2001. You ever seen that? That's with John Travolta and Vince Vaughn. Highly underrated. Highly underrated. So Disturbia was Shia LaBeouf hits his teacher, and he's on house arrest, and he's got the ankle monitor on. So that's where I eventually went to, and then it turns into the fact that the neighbor may or may have not killed somebody, and it's a whole thing. You got to watch it. It's really not a bad movie.
Yeah, it's basically like Rear Window. Only the reason he can't leave his house is he's under house arrest and not in a wheelchair.
Yes, that is a great comparison. So the ankle monitor comment was great, but I had to point out Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair because I thought that was funny because we talk about it each and every week. There's a variety of everything, but one thing I do have to touch upon. So I got to talk about your boy because your boy done it again. So Shiloh Hill is backstage with Lizzie Rain, and Miles Moore's like, hey, man, if you beat Jackson Drake, I'll give you a shot at the North American title. So he's about to win and beat Jackson Drake. And, I mean, he's been saying his name in the videos in Roy's favorite segment of the week where he's just like, oh, by the way, did you know that the Mist came, in fact, in here, the Great Kabuki in this? Oh, by the way, Naraku comes from out of the ring and Miss Shiloh Hill in the face. Jackson Drake gets the 450, and that's where we're going to get Miles and Jackson Drake now. What are your thoughts on the new feud of Naraku and Shiloh Hill?
So Shiloh posted a picture of his face afterwards with, well, I don't have to test the red mist now. Obviously, it's full of mace.
What is wrong with him?
So he equated the red mist is basically pepper spray. And that's been his whole thing, is he's been fascinated with the mist, and now he gets to experience it firsthand. I kind of hope at this point, and it sounds silly, but it's right up the alley. I'm hoping that at this point that the fog ends up being like a mist variation, only it's more like he pulls out a powder and blows it instead of spits out mist. Right. So the fog would be coming or whatever. And I think that would be so clever if they went that route. No, Shiloh's great, and I think it's interesting that they're keeping Naraku around to do a program with him. I would have thought 100% that Naraku was just going to be there for a cup of coffee and then head up to the main roster. So it is interesting to see that he is sticking around to have this. Maybe it will lead to, the winner of their feud going against whoever has the North American title. So that would be interesting.
A couple of the things I did want to mention, and we'll mention Zilla Fatu's debut when we get to predictions, but I wanted to point out these two tidbits. So next week on NXT, we are going to see Rey Fenix versus the winner of the Fatal 4-Way, who is EK Prosper, beating Tristan Angels. He beat Romeo Moreno, and he also beat La Parca, which is great to see La Parca on NXT. Are you looking forward to Rey Fenix versus EK Prosper, the new standout of NXT?
I am, and I know last week during our Wrestling Society X review,
Yes,
I mentioned something about Teddy Hart's moonsault.
I can see that.
Holy crap, dude. EK Prosper's moonsault is beautiful.
The way he floats and just does like the lean in midair, the back, oof.
And then you have, I will point out the one thing that was said on commentary was when La Parca came out, Booker
Oh,
T's going off about how, hey man, I wrestled him back in the day, and how is he still looks younger than he's ever looked before.
it's because it's his kid, Booker.
And Vic Joseph is just like, yeah, man, he just, he must
Fountain of
work
youth.
out. Yeah, he must work out without that fountain of youth. So I love thinking that he doesn't understand that it is, basically Laparca's kid just carrying the mantle,
Right.
and he thinks it's still the same Laparca, and Vic knows that it's not, and he's just like, yeah, fountain of youth, buddy. I don't know.
That I
So
did laugh at, yes.
yeah, that was great. I'm looking forward to that match though. Rey Fenix and EK Prosper.
Mhm.
That's going to be a very good, dare I say, AEW style match,
Yes.
and it'll be a good standout on the card because not every match will be like that.
Beautifully said. Also, I did pop at Rey Fenix and Cruz Montana, Mike Santana in there.
Yeah,
Dude, I had flashbacks back to when the Lucha Brothers wrestled LAX back in TNA. Those are really good. Those who've never
yeah.
seen those matches, they were the bomb diggity.
Yeah,
Um,
I like that a lot because there's so much history there, and it was just that hug. It was like, oh man, I love it.
very wholesome.
Yeah,
The other thing we do have to mention, so Saquon Sugars and Deion Lennox had this back and forth, and weaponized steel cage match next week on NXT. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
nope, not at all. I'm digging that. I figured they might would have saved that style of match for maybe Naraku and Shiloh Hill
Mhm.
because that seems something right up their alley. Build this feud a couple of weeks and then they have the weaponized steel cage. But that being said, there's been so much history with Sugars and the Dark State and everything. Like, this is going to be a good match. I'm thinking this is finally when Sugars wins it and kind of gets away from the whole Dark State thing for right now. But it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it next week.
I'm going to make a hip hop reference here. Watching Saquon Sugars and Deion Lennox cut this passionate promo, felt like it's a battle between Death Row Records and Ruthless Records. For those that have seen Straight Outta Compton, you know what I'm talking about. Minus Suge Knight and Easy E. God rest his soul. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. We put it down on you. What? I hit him up. So, we'll move on to the card now to predict NXT Heatwave because there's going to be some tie-ins with the show. So I figured the first match that we start with is the unification match for both the NXT Women's North American Championship and the WWE Women's Speed Championship. Zarya versus Ren Sinclair. I got to tell you, I like their first matchup, and I like how it came so close in the Speed tournament where she finally got the cattle mutilation on her. I can't call it her new move. I know, what is it, like the wrench or something like that? It's like something with the wrench. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my thing, too, is, and I love it, I love the name of it, but I'm sorry, it's always going to be cattle mutilation to me because Bryan Danielson. But I love you, Ren Sinclair. So Ren Sinclair came so close. Her and Zarya have great chemistry with one another. If I had to pick a winner here, I would love to see Ren win because she has come such a long way from the No Quarter Catch crew and has really found her own. But there's something about it, man, where Zarya just got this. And, I mean, if they're going to take the Women's Speed Championship away, that's what they gonna do. And maybe this could also be a whole little thing where Ren Sinclair goes towards the heel side and she gets jealous of Kalani, and then we finally get that blow up with Kalani versus Ren. So I gotta say Zarya takes in this unification match, and bye-bye to the Women's Speed Championship. Your thoughts?
See, I was actually leaning more towards Ren ends up winning this match.
Okay.
Yeah, because then at the end, just like when Kendall Gray won the women's title, you can have both of them with, the 3 titles in the ring. So I think that would be really cool, is it's that extra step, and it does put her one step closer to being like, hey, I won the speed title. Now I've got the North American title. What's stopping me from facing my friend for the women's title? That kind of thing. So I'm gonna pull for Ren in this one.
And also because she has a catchy theme song. I can't do this in my sleep. They're so casual. I'm sorry, that's a catchy tune. I like what I hear.
It is.
It reminds me of, okay, I'll take a reference. Remember TNA during the COVID era with Kylie Ray and that ruthless, ooh-ah-oh. I'm like, all right now, you go with your smiley self, Kylie Ray.
She just returned back to the ring.
I was so happy to see that. I mean, she's had her ups and downs over the years, mental health wise, but to see her doing well, you go, Kylie Ray.
And if I'm not mistaken, she's like a mother of 2 now, so like that's even bigger.
Damn straight,
she's a mother, and yeah, so good on her. I love it.
We love you, Kylie Ray, up in this piece. And speaking of up in this piece, up in here, up in here. We're going to go to the next women's matchup. We did mention her partner, Kendall Gray versus Kalani Jordan for the NXT Women's Championship. If there's anything that we've seen on NXT before, we know these two can rock it. Kalani Jordan has really found herself under this heel persona, and Kendall Gray is just an absolute machine. If I had to pick a winner here, because I know Callie Armstrong is lurking, I think they want to do Kendall versus Callie, much like we got in Evolve, but it's a rematch this time for the Women's Championship, and Kalani can keep complaining that she got screwed, because she's kind of doing a gimmick similar to what Sami Zayn's doing on the main roster. And I love me some Kalani Jordan, but dang it, I got to go Kendall Gray. Kendall to retain. Who you picking, Kendall Gray or Kalani?
I am going to go with Kendall Gray on this one, and this may be just like with Lola Vice. This may be Kalani's swan song. Send her up to the main roster and let her and Mello do what Austin Theory and Maxine is doing right now. Only not as, not as PDA about it, but have them kind of be that power couple that kind of takes over SmackDown. I think that would be really fun, but I do think this might be the time to have Kalani kind of move up to the main roster. And yeah, it still plays into Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair having all 3 of the big main titles for the women, and possibly have them go after like the women's tag titles or something, just to kind of loop it all in and everything like that.
I like your style. I think that definitely does have a possibility. And speaking of possibilities, we'll go to the next title match, as it is Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights defending against Mean Street Posse 2.0, aka the boys from Tinda. Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes, the Vanity Project, with Michael Lockwood in their corner. They just got those dang titles, Miles and Tavion, and I love that they got those titles. There's a part of me that thinks they're going to lose, and that would lead to Miles retaining against Jackson Drake, and that's going to piss off Tavion, and he's going to be like, hey, man, this is my first ever goal. We already lose, and you're focused on that damn North American title. Well, I'm going to take that title away from you. And it leads something like that. So I think we're going to get the Vanity Project winning them back, and there's a cost and a title loss for a Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights. So who are you picking, Vanity Project or Miles and Tavion?
I am fully behind what you were saying with, I think I don't know which match will come first in the night. I don't know if it'll be this one or if it'll be the North American title, because whichever match is first,
Hmm.
if this match is first, we might see kind of a heel tendency from Miles.
Hmm.
He may start to kind of feel like he can't go during the match. The match is going on, and then he's finally like, "Hey, man, I'm tagging out. Tavion, you get in there." And then the next time Tavion goes to tag him in, he's like, "No, man, look, I'm saving myself for the match later. Like, you got this." And then they lose the titles. Um, I think either way, as much as I'd like to see them continue with the titles, I don't think Bourne and Tavion win this one.
Right.
So I'm going Vanity Project on this one.
And for Miles Bourne and Jackson Drake, who we going with? I kind of think that they're really high on Jackson Drake, and I could see him winning that title. I mean, the kid, he's one of Javon Evans' best friends. They train together. I like Jackson Drake, but there's a part of me that wants to see Miles still retain, and they could do another matchup. So I'm going to say Miles somehow wins this one. Who you going, Miles or Jackson Drake?
I'm going to go with Jackson on this one.
Okay. And I don't
Yeah,
hate it.
yeah.
It's just like, I think it doesn't hurt Miles if he loses. He really doesn't. Like, they can push him to NXT title level like that because he's so over. But if you want to have a heel smarmy guy that also gets over, Jackson Drake, for those who've not checked out his Evolve work, when he was Evolve champion, like, he had that down pat, and he's really grown as a performer. And you could see something with Micah getting involved because it's his heater. But yeah, it's a
Well,
tough
see
one.
that
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking is either Micah gets involved and Jackson's kind of riding that high of, my boys just won the tag titles. It's my time to win this title. Micah could get involved. Tavion could get involved because, hey, we just lost the tag titles because you weren't focused, like you were saying. There's a lot that can go into it. And plus, just like with Fatal Influence, it's always something with seeing a faction full of gold. And I could see it happening. I could see any of those scenarios playing out to where Vanity Project ends the night with the both titles. So
Don't hate it, but I think we're definitely going to see which one panders out. But either way, I'm invested. And speaking of invested, we will get to the main event. So it is now a fatal four-way match for the NXT Championship. Tony D, Tony D'Angelo, Cruz Montana, Grayson Waller, and Zilla Fatu. The main event segment of, Cruz Montana's been looking for Tony, and not Tony, excuse me, Zilla in the parking lot. Tony D's watching Zilla Fatu, who looks like the 90s version of The Rock with how he dressed and everything. I thought Hello was very interesting with the presentation and his theme song. Everybody came out to fight him. Tony D staring him down from up above. And Zilla's like, well, this match is now a fatal four-way because in my contract, it says my first match is going to be for the NXT Championship. So I'm looking forward to this. I want to say before we predict, what did you think of his main event segment?
I thought it was good. I'm still trying to figure out where people are mixing up Nepo and Nympho.
Nympho?
So it
Yeah.
is what it is. Yeah. But I do like what you were talking about. He was very rock esque, and between him and Solo, like they're both different styles of the Rock right now, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you've got heel Rock with Zilla, and you got babyface Rock with Solo, and both of them carry the mannerisms very well. Uh, it's gonna be. I feel bad for Tony D. Tony D's eating the pin.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for Tony D. But look, man, you got three guys who just are in NXT. One of those three guys is walking out with the title. None of those three guys need to get pinned right now. So, Tony, it's time for you to go out on your back, buddy. Hopefully, you have better luck in the Vision than Seth Rollins and all them did. But we're gonna need you to move on up to Raw, do something with the Vision, and drop that title.
So if I had to pick a winner, I think we might have the same mindset on this because I like your style of Tony has to take the pin because these three are up on the uprise here. I think it's too soon for Cruz Montana. I think it's either going to be Zilla or Grayson. And if I'm going to pick someone who's going to get that heel run with the title, I got to go Grayson Waller. How about you?
I'm stuck between Grayson and Zilla. How great, though. Like, you're going to have babyface Santana regardless.
Yes.
How much is it going to chap Grayson Waller even more
If Zilla wins.
if Zilla's first ever match in WWE NXT is he wins the title?
Right.
So just for that, I'm saying Zilla ends up winning.
Yeah, I was torn between those two, but I'm thinking, all right, Zilla comes in. I don't know if he's really a face or a heel. I kind of consider him more of a tweener.
Yeah.
But Grayson Waller, there's something about him ever since that promo and him being the division of just a heel and just a smarky guy where everybody hates him. It's going to be very interesting to see where they go, but I do like your thought process, and I do like what this pay-per-view is going to entail. So the PLE that is, Heatwave is going to be on the CW, at 3 p.m.? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, something like that, I believe.
And we're going to see that next week. And next week, we'll be back with our AEW All In London predictions. It's going to have more matches than this one. It already has 8 matches, which means Tony's going to add 7 more because Tony's going to Tony. So with that being said, we will see y'all next week. But before we get on out of here, Roy, where can we follow us on the socials? You do an amazing job with the thumbnails and the channel and everything. Let us know.
You know what? We're going with some reverse psychology. Don't follow us. Don't subscribe. Don't comment. Oh, man. No, we are on YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Spotify, everywhere at either the Takedown Podcast. We have a link tree that is just the link tree address and then Takedown Pod. So you can find us pretty much anywhere, just kind of keeping track with stuff. We're usually on TikTok and Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram will have at least one vertical video a day. So just make sure you do subscribe. That way you get that one vertical a day. Other than that, we are also on the WFJA website. That's wfjafm.com/podcasts. So be sure to check us out there, and you can listen to all the fun stuff we got going on there. We're actually starting football season this week, so local football, we're having that on Friday night, so that's going to be fun. And then after the football game, you can switch over to the podcast and listen to us. So what about you, man? What you got going on?
Damn straight. And check out the amazing banner that Roy did of the two of us looking as only as we can look. Woo! And if you want to check out what we're doing and what I'm doing, S&M Network Shows features this great podcast as well as Takedown Pod on YouTube, WFJA.com/podcast. You can check out the Steve and Mike Show on the Mike with Mike, the RWT podcast, Deep Into the Heart of Wrestling, the LFC podcast, and so much more on S&M Network Shows. You can check me out, SM Show 1 or MCL92 on the Twitter front, MLarkinMB and Larkin_92 on the Instagram, SteveandMikeShow.com, LFCfights.com, WFJAFM.com, like I mentioned, /podcast, and the LFC Network on Roku, not to be confused with Hoku, And we ain't another dumb blonde up in here. For those that remember that Snow Day soundtrack, what? So with that being said, we will see y'all next week. For Roy Costin, my name is Mike Larkin. Thank you for listening to the Takedown Podcast. And if you didn't understand from earlier in the show, Roy Costin has a colorful vernacular. He's got a gap within his tooth with his London look, as he put it earlier in the show. And the only thing I got to say is these two Utes, I say, Utes, will be back next week.